Welcome to the Confident Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Johnson. If you find yourself here, it may mean that you're looking for courage, clarity, or confidence in some part of your life. I interview experts in business and life each week and share strategies for success, motivation, and mindset. If you want to learn more about how I can help you grow your business as an extension of yourself and help transform you into a confident entrepreneur, check out my website and online business courses at jenniferannjohnson.com or join my private Facebook group at Confident Entrepreneur. Now let's get started. Today, we welcome into the studio Amy West. She is the Senior Vice President and Financial Advisor at UBS Private Wealth. Amy leads the Naples-based team for the Matina Group and brings over 23 years of financial services and wealth management experience to their ultra-high net worth clients and families. Amy also leads the team's community outreach and spearheads the Women and Women's Wealth Initiative. Welcome.
Good morning, Jennifer. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I love your bright yellow.
Oh, yeah.
So pretty.
Thank you. I normally wear black, so this is a step out of my comfort zone today.
Well, I love color, especially pink. So it's perfect.
I might have peeked at some of your former podcasts and figured that out.
Oh,
So
what was the dead giveaway? Every podcast, right?
I love it.
So explain to us what UBS is
Mhm.
and what UBS does and a little bit of history perhaps around them.
Sure, absolutely. So UBS is the largest global wealth manager in the world. And
Wow.
although UBS and the brand are not as well known here in the United States, we're about a 20-year-old brand here in the US, but in Switzerland, we've been around for 150 years.
Oh, wow.
So
I didn't know
yes,
it was Swiss.
very long history, Swiss-based out of
Oh,
Zurich
UBS,
is our
United
headquarters.
Bank.
Switzerland, that's the background,
Okay.
doesn't stand for that
It would,
anymore, but yes, out of Switzerland. And so we are primarily a wealth management business. It's at the core and heart of what we do. And I sit on a private wealth management team. And so we manage all of the financial assets and resources for our ultra high net worth clients and families.
wonderful.
Mhm.
Right here in Naples.
Right here in Naples.
That's
Yes.
awesome. Well, today I want to talk about women and women with purpose. And I understand that UBS does a lot of research on women and wealth topics. And you even publish your own worth. UBS publishes their own worth report
Yep.
every year.
Mhm.
Tell us about the research and what that all means.
Yeah. This is a passion of mine. I love that we focus on women in wealth and women in investing initiatives. And so this research started actually, UBS published their first issue in 2017. And the question was really how are women doing? We obviously were contributing more than ever financially to our families. And are we making strides in kind of making our own financial decisions and investment decisions, and how does the face of wealth look as it relates to women? So this research every year is published, and the questions are a little bit different, but UBS is asking women around the globe. Thousands of women are being interviewed and being asked questions about how they're making financial decisions or not.
Not necessarily their clients.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Not necessarily clients, but women across the globe, and getting a feel for not only where we stand as women in being impactful with our financial resources and decision making, but then how can we as advisors improve our practice to really help and engage women and empower women with their financial decision making.
So it is a survey that goes out or that however they contact them, but you are able to use that and mine that data and use it for everything that you do.
Yes, it's incredibly impactful and unbelievably eye-opening. I know that we're going to talk about a couple of the reports that we've done, but our research really, and even for me, kind of being in this role and involved in the financial services industry for almost 25 years, you would think that I would know some of these statistics and the data already, but it was really eye-opening to me. In terms of how many women are still not taking their rightful seat
Mm,
at the table, at the money table, as we
uh-huh.
call it, in engaging and making financial decisions.
And I can see that.
Yeah.
It's like you feel timid.
Mhm.
Who am I? Then that we've talked a lot on this show about imposter syndrome and why am I here? Why am I what makes me qualified?
That's right. And we see that all the time. And I'll get into some of the statistics later. But one of the most interesting statistics that I read in a survey was they were giving a financial literacy test, a really short 10-question test
Mhm.
to men and women. And before they took the test, they asked them as a group how they thought they would perform. And on average, women thought they would get 3 out of the 10 questions right.
Mhm.
Men thought they would get 7 out of 10 of the questions right. And I'll ask you, Jennifer, where do
Mhm.
you think men and women landed in terms of how many of those questions on the financial literacy test they got right?
My hunch is that women probably were better than the men. Am I right? Or equal?
They were equal. They were equal. They both got 5 out of 10 questions correct,
Wow.
which to me
Mhm.
is so interesting. It's not a competence issue as it relates to women making their financial decisions. It's a confidence
Mhm.
issue.
It's in our head.
It's in our head.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
Sadly enough, right?
Mhm.
Now, one of the recent Own Your Worth reports was titled Women on Purpose.
Mhm.
And women are increasingly focused on living a life of greater purpose. What do you think has fueled that?
Yeah. So we've seen, and I think this has been a trend for years, especially as I've worked with women in this community in Naples, gosh, for the last 18 years. And, we live in an incredibly philanthropic
Mhm.
community where, women all around us are engaged every day in improving the lives of those in our communities. But I think what we've seen over the last few years, when you think about the implications from the pandemic, and the she session and
Mhm.
how that impacted the unemployment level for women and how that impacted women's ability to juggle it all when we were then, kind of looking at homeschooling our children and then figuring out how and when to get back into the workforce. And then you think about just the general global and political unrest, the
Right.
social unrest. And I think what that's done is caused women to really refocus on what's important to them and how they can make an impact, whether it's in the lives of their loved ones, their children, their family members, or, really recommitting to the organizations or the philanthropic interests that motivate them.
Mhm.
And so I think all of those have been drivers to women really feeling as though they want to make more of an impact in the world.
And that kind of leads into another question that I have. In this report, UBS cites that there's 3 ways that women are living more intentional lives, and I find that interesting because I don't know about you, but at the beginning of every year, I have a new word. A new word like this last year was growth. My
Mm,
new word, because I've gone through a season of growth, my new word for next year or for 2024 is intentional.
mm.
So I find that this had to be included because I thought that was so interesting. What were the 3?
I love that. So it's interesting that you mentioned that, and I love that you're moving from, kind of growth to the actual intention. A lot of times, we have found that women, although now we're starting to talk more about our finances, we're committing to wanting to be involved in the decision making, but we're falling short on taking action.
I can see that.
So yes, we have good intentions, and then I think life gets in the
Mhm,
way. But when we talk about the 3 ways that women are living more intentional lives, and you'll see this. So the first is using their financial resources, which is a really big one. So 92% of the women that we survey agree that being more involved in their finances and their financial planning will enable them to make more of an impact.
and that's
And
100% true. If you don't know, you don't know.
absolutely. And if you're not intentional about setting your goals and understanding what you want to achieve, both with your life and with your values and with your finances, how do you get there? And so
Mhm,
you can see that being more involved in the
right.
finances enables you to set goals and then back into the investment strategy to help you support and achieve those
Mhm,
goals and then be more impactful with that. So financial resources is one piece of it. The second is making choices aligned with their values. So whether that's making a change in a career choice or even your day-to-day spending
mhm,
choices, where you go shopping and how you support small businesses, local businesses, businesses that at the core are supporting the values that you share.
And I love that you said that
Mhm.
because I have a whole course around helping people find their core values because it drives everything in your
Oh,
life.
I love it.
It drives the decisions that you make every day as a family, as an individual.
Yeah.
And then if you have a business or you work anywhere, it drives all of your decisions that you make with that as
Yeah.
well. It's such a
Yeah.
powerful piece of the puzzle that
Yeah.
a lot of people don't give a lot of thought to.
Oh,
So,
Jennifer, you're so right. And I'm gonna take a sidebar here to share with you. I love that you brought that up. So we are doing at UBS here locally. I've launched a Women in Wealth initiative where we do a couple events,
mhm,
primarily educational events for women and around wealth topics. And actually, the one we're doing in January to kick off the new year is around purpose
mm,
and finding your purpose and developing your purpose and taking that into action. And we actually have a really neat little value exercise that it's a deck of cards.
mhm,
And we typically facilitate the exercise with families
mhm,
to help them kind of rally around and understand what their family values are, what their legacy goals are, and help kind of really bring the family together and align them around that purpose. And this one we're doing in January, we're doing it with a group of probably 40 or so women where we're facilitating the exercise at the table. It's a selfish
mhm,
hour where we're going to look inwardly
mhm,
and spend some time determining our focus for the year, but more broadly, our values and our purpose. And then we're going to encourage these women to take this exercise home and
mhm.
do it with their friends, their
Right.
family, their loved ones.
I love it.
Yeah, it's
That's
important. It's
awesome.
important. And then the third one I'll just mention is the way we're seeing women volunteer, not only with their time but with their expertise. So whether that's spending more time at your children's school,
Mhm,
volunteering in the classroom, or whether that's taking a board seat for an organization here locally that you're committed to, or using your expertise in some other way to contribute. And so we're seeing that women more than ever are getting involved and putting their money and their time where
mhm.
their mouth is.
The 3 T's: time, talent, or treasure, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Is your closet overflowing? Or maybe your kids' closets are as well. Or maybe you just want to redecorate your house. If you're wondering what to do with all that stuff that you've accumulated, bring it all to True Fashionistas or even ship it to them for free. They'll sell your unwanted items for you. They'll take away all the hassle by doing all the work, and all you have to do is sit back and collect your money. You can check them out online at truefashionistas.com or on Facebook or Instagram, and that's truefashionistas.com. Welcome back, friends. We are in studio today with Amy West, and she is with UBS Private Wealth, and we are talking about women, women on purpose. Right?
Yep.
Is how it's coined, and we've been talking about the reports that you guys generate and the wealth of knowledge that actually comes out of them, and
Mhm,
it's very insightful. And I want to know, what are the 5 things that we can do to help identify
mhm.
our purpose?
Yeah. It's a great question. And so, in some of the research that we've done, we've found a couple ways when you think about this, it can be overwhelming. Where do I begin? And I
Right.
know I mentioned in the last segment, this card exercise that we've done. But if you don't have the cards, some of the questions that you can ask yourself first and foremost: what excites you about the future? When you get up in the morning,
Mhm.
what can you really, get your head around and get excited about? What fuels you? What can you do over the course of that day to really bring value to yourself, your community, and your loved ones? And so
Mhm.
that's one of the first questions we asked. Who are the people that matter most to you that you really want to make an impact for? And that can be, again, your loved ones,
Right.
your intimate family, or it can be, the people around us in our community and those organizations that we're supporting. So those are two kind of right off
Mhm.
the bat. What impact do you want to make? So when you're sitting back and considering that, not only what impact do you want to make today, but very often we're talking to our families about their legacy goals. What
Mhm.
impact do you want to make on the next generation and beyond? And that's something we're working with a lot of our families on, not only with how they're spending their time, but how they're using their wealth to be impactful for those future
And I
generations.
find that interesting because as we know, there's so many people, so many things coming at us
Mhm.
every day of this charity or that charity or just opportunities.
Mhm.
What do I do? Like, that's why
Oh,
having that plan,
yes. Yes.
knowing clear that this is what I want to do
Mhm.
helps make it that much easier. No, it doesn't align with what my beliefs are. It
Yeah.
doesn't align with my values, so I'm going to pass on that. Or it does.
Yeah.
It fits right in.
It's Jennifer, it's so hard. There are so many amazing organizations in this community. I mean, we know coming into season,
Mhm.
even just deciding, what organizations you want to support.
Right.
We do a lot of local sponsorship. We attend a lot of great events in season, and it's hard to figure
It
out
is.
how to spend your time and your money. It's interesting. I worked with a client of ours who is a widow without children, who has some significant wealth and she wants to leave an impact. And so she came to us and said, I really don't even know where to begin. And so
Mhm.
we had a conversation about, what was on her heart, what organizations have impacted her or her husband or her loved ones over the course of their life. And from that conversation, we offered her a few suggestions and actually helped make some introductions to some local charities and organizations for her to kind of do her own due diligence and research. And ultimately, she came up with a couple that she is now named kind of in her
Mhm.
legacy and estate plan that she will support after her lifetime, but even today that she dedicates some time and resources to. But it can be overwhelming.
It sure can, and I know personally, I I sit on some boards and I volunteer here, there, and kind of
Mhm.
everywhere. But I this year again, wanting to be intentional, am looking at all the ways and what I'm doing, and does this align with my value
Yeah.
or my values that I have? Did they impact my life? Did
Right.
something, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
what you're saying is so true.
Yeah, I do. I see it. And I'm so fortunate personally when we think about and when we talk about these purpose driven conversations. And even coming out of this pandemic, we've seen so many, not just women, but in general, so many people look at, making changes to their career and how
Mhm.
they spend their time. And I'll tell you, I'm so fortunate because, and not even with intention, but very early on, I had a personal situation. My father passed away when I was in high school, and as a teenager, my mom had an advisor that just really didn't take good care of her.
Mhm.
And I knew kind of coming out of college and coming into this industry that I wanted to work with women. I wanted to educate women. I wanted to empower women to make better decisions for
Mhm.
themselves, for their loved ones. And so I feel so fortunate every day that I do get to come into work and kind of do something that fuels me and motivates me because I am making an impact.
Right, and look at you, you had a purpose. You had a reason behind why you're doing what you're doing,
Right. Right.
and then that creates the passion,
Mhm.
which then fills you up every day.
That's right.
Mhm.
That's right. I love it. And in the women that we get to work with, I mean, it's really interesting and some of the other research and topics that we've seen, because we are unfortunately seeing that women are still deferring a lot of their financial decisions and letting their spouse or significant other take the lead on that. I really feel that it's, part of my life's mission to help bring women to the table and engage in that conversation. Because again, when women are involved, they don't have to take the lead,
Mhm.
but they can't just delegate all of those decisions.
Right.
We have to be aware, we have to know
Mhm.
what's going on in our financial house so that we can be more intentional and more impactful with our financial
And
resources.
and I have something to say about that because I gotta tell you, my husband was away on a fishing trip, and we had something happen with our bank account. I had
Ah,
0 idea. Couldn't get a hold of him. I mean, I was in panic.
yes.
Because I had no idea, and after that, I mean, this was recently, and I and
Mhm.
I said, "That's it. That I need to know." As much as I don't wanna know because numbers scare me,
Yeah.
I I I don't math very well, and, I need to know.
Yeah.
But a lot of women are in that position.
Oh,
So,
Jennifer, we've done so much research around this. So here's a sobering statistic for you. 8 out of 10 women will end up solely responsible for their finances, whether
wow.
we like it or not.
Mhm.
And so what we find so often is that it's as a result of a divorce or when someone is newly widowed and they're coming to us for the first time
Mhm.
overwhelmed with the idea of kind of figuring out their plan, their
Right.
financial plan, their estate plan,
Mhm.
where everything is. And so what we're really encouraging is for women to get involved now and, build a relationship with your advisor
Mhm.
today. And just be aware. Again, you don't need to take the lead, but you need to be aware. We've got an interesting, a different session that we do, another women's event on planning for the quote unquote unexpected, because it's really
Mm,
not. It's
right.
expected.
Of course.
We will have to take the lead and understand all of the components of our financial lives. But part of that is actually a document checklist. And it's a very comprehensive set of, kind of the documents that you need to have in place. But even more simply, who has them? Who are
Oh,
your
right.
advisors, your attorneys, your CPA? What are all of your passwords?
Mhm. Oh
And it's
gosh, don't get me
I
started on
I
passwords.
know. Trust me,
Oh.
I know. But to your point, we've had situations where, we've had that unexpected
Mhm.
experience and we've got, a spouse that has no idea even how to log into their
Right.
online banking.
Mhm.
Um, so it's important and it's important to get involved and get engaged today. It doesn't need to be overwhelming. I think that we as women, we talked about it earlier, it's not a competence issue, it's a
Right.
confidence issue.
Mhm.
We're very capable. A lot of times we're busy.
Right.
And so we're deferring those decisions,
Absolutely.
but we've got to get involved.
Did we finish our 5?
I think
I
we
think we did.
I think we did. I think we
Yeah,
did.
that's what happens. We start
Ah.
talking about a topic and then, it's we go off
Yeah. I
the
think I
trail.
think one of them that we didn't really touch on, but it kind of comes into all of this is when you think about what keeps you up at night,
Mm.
that really also helps you to develop, how you want to overcome that.
Mhm.
Nobody likes the 2 a.m. wake up where you're startled to this reality of something that you're unsettled about,
Mhm.
whether it relates to your financial life or otherwise. So, take the time to have an intentional, whether it's dialogue with your significant other or even just some intentional time by yourself to think through all 5 of those, including kind of the scary ones of what keeps you up at night.
Mhm.
Because then, when you flush it out, get it on paper, have a conversation about it, you feel more empowered to move forward and then take that action.
It's less scary.
That's right.
Those are
Yeah.
such great words of
Yeah.
wisdom. Amy, if our listeners would like to get a hold of you, how can they do so?
So I can be reached at a.west@ubs.com, or they can certainly reach out to me on my cell phone, 239-233-6757.
Fabulous. It was so wonderful having you on today.
Jennifer, thank you. Appreciate it.
And thank you, my friends, for joining me today and every week here on The Confident Entrepreneur, brought to you by True Fashionistas. If you want a deeper dive or you'd like to check out my online business courses for your business, go to jenniferannjohnson.com. Have a fabulous day.